Did you want to touch on the Jamal Adams situation real quick before we go?
Yeah, we could talk about it. So basically, he requested a trade from the Jets because the extension talks weren't really working out for them, and he listed, was it like 8 teams that he requested a trade to?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So I have the odds here via Bet Online that I saw from some Cowboy blog article. That is, right now they have the Ravens at 5-2 odds, the Buccaneers at 3-1 odds, the Cowboys at 4-1. The Eagles at 5-1, the Seahawks at 5-1, the Texans at 7-1, the Chiefs at 8-1, and the 49ers at 10-1. Which team do you think Jamal Adams would probably go to the most? Or do you see Jamal Adams before the season starts?
I think realistically, I think I would trade him. I think the Jets might not. They might even wait to trade him, sort of do the Jonathan Drouin thing, wait a little bit to trade him just to make sure that they can, get a bigger return later. They could do something like that. If I'm thinking from a Bucs perspective, I want them to trade for Jamal Adams. I think that makes sense. Like, listen, in every other sport, teams trade away draft picks or trade away, like baseball, for example, you trade away prospects that are going to be good in the future to get somebody who's good right now so you can try to win a World Series. It's a well-established thing in the sport. In football, no one wants to do it. If I'm Baltimore, I'll give you a first-round pick for Jamal Adams. Absolutely. With Baltimore, they're going to be picking late. I'll give you 2 first-round picks for him, and I'll pay him. I'm not sure if they have the cap, but assuming they do have the cap, let's try to win a Super Bowl this year. Like, at the end of the day, flags fly forever. I think too many teams try to build dynasties. I would try to build a team that's just going to win 1 Super Bowl, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I'd feel better about that than if I just sort of coasted and ended up having a couple of solid seasons and then falling back to mediocrity. But yeah, I think he probably won't get traded right away. I don't know. Sure. I'll say he gets traded to Baltimore.
Interesting. So I was looking at the Buccaneers cap situation. They would essentially need to dump $5 million or rework $5 million in salary just to take him this year. But I was thinking, so you look at the Jalen Ramsey trade from last year. Now, cornerback is obviously more important of a position than safety, but Ramsey went for 2 first-round picks and a 4th-round pick. So say the Buccaneers called and said, we'll give you our first-round pick next year, Antoine Winfield Jr., and like a 4th or 5th round pick. Who says no to that one?
I think I would. I'm not sure if I want to get rid of Antoine Winfield. I mean, I think if they were to do that, I think there would have to be some sort of expectation that like Jamal Adams' contract would be backloaded, so that way they can make the money work easier. Because I don't know. I mean, I think part of the appeal of this is that now they can have sort of a complete defense, and really one more safety is kind of the biggest hole in that roster. And I think that losing Winfield, who I think is going to be very good, I think that could kind of be the. I don't know if I love that.
That's probably a fair deal. Yeah, because the team I thought of was, especially looking at the odds list, was the Seahawks. He had. I forget his name. Oh my gosh. I just was looking at it. Bradley McDougall. I thought his coverage stats were okay, but I thought overall, I mean, Jamal Adams is a clear upgrade. And, you put him in Quadre Diggs back there, that's the best safety combination in football. I think that'd be a really interesting one if you put those two together. Because I think the thing that's so interesting with Adams is he can almost play anywhere. I think he's one of the rare safeties who could fill in as a free safety, strong safety, and be an all-pro level at either position. So I think you can almost, he's almost to a point where he could play in any system and be really successful. I don't think, he could almost be put into that strong safety position next to Diggs, I think, and make that Seahawks defense just as elite as it was, not as good as it was in 2013 or whatever, but that's still going to be a top of the level defense, especially that secondary with the 2 safeties in Shaquille Griffin. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't hate that idea. One thing, Adams is kind of he's that guy. I think he's the best safety in the league. I made a video about it, and I said that I think he's really good. I think that he's probably better strong safety. He's essentially you take those guys who are like traditional quote unquote box safeties like a Landon Collins, and he plays strong as well as them, but it can also be an elite free safety, which is kind of what I think is so incredible about him. Again, like I said. The way I would run a team is do something to go out and try to get him. For the Seahawks, like, yeah, I mean, you're a team that has a chance to win a Super Bowl. They were a yard away from winning their division last year, and they were, a yard away and a win away from getting a bye week. Who knows what happens if they did that? So I definitely don't. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and plus the benefit to the Seahawks is they have $13 million in cap space, and they have Bobby Wagner and Russell Wilson to long-term contracts. So it's not like they're sacrificing too much for bringing in a guy like Adams. I think he makes a lot of sense there. I feel like it's that or one of those two NFC East teams he listed. Those are two teams that have been, more than welcome to splashing the cash for people. And I could just see, Jerry Jones could offer 2 first-round picks, and I could see that happening. If I'm the Jets, I would even call Bill O'Brien right away and see what exactly you can get from Bill O'Brien, because it's clearly a lot more than anybody else would offer.
Bill O'Brien would be terrible. Bill O'Brien would be terrible. He'd be like, "Oh, okay, superstar player. So a second-round pick. Does that seem that seems right? Yeah, that seems like a good one." No. Also, I would hate this trade from the Cowboys' perspective. I think that would be. I think the Cowboys would be super stupid to go out and trade 2 first-round picks for Jamal Adams because I don't think they're in the position. Like I talked about how I would love it for Tampa Bay or Baltimore because they're teams that are trying to win a Super Bowl this year. They need to rebuild to some degree. They need to get more depth. They don't need one more star. They have stars. Like their problem is they need consistency on their defense. I think it would be so Dallas to do it, and I think they'll go 7-9 if they do.
Yeah, I mean they continue to pay for that. That's all they care about. I could see it happening. I think the Eagles actually does make a lot of sense. I think that'd be a good fit because their secondary, could use all the help they can get, even with adding Darius Slay. But yeah, I guess I'll say it right now. If you bet the Ravens, I'd bet the Seahawks right now. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that's a good fit for him. And like I said, I think he's a clear upgrade over McDougal at that safety position. I think that's the best fit for him. In terms of he wants to play football and be on a good team.
Yeah, and I do like McDougal. He was former Buccaneer. Has played a lot better with Seattle than he played with Tampa Bay. And I think that it's interesting. I'm trying to think about the scheme now with Seattle. About they run like that, sort of a traditional cover 3 zone type defense. I'm assuming this means that basically Adams will be getting a lot less free safety time, which could be sort of maybe a negative to some degree, but. At the same time, it also his strong safety is where he's more well suited. So maybe putting him there could help him. So I don't hate the Seattle thing. I think if you're one of those top teams that feels like you can compete for a Super Bowl, I think go out and trade for him. That's kind of always been my mindset.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see. Obviously, we'll see how this one plays out. I don't see him getting traded before the season, though. I think this is like a week 4 trade. Like I think if the Jets start like 1-3, he's probably gone. Because what's the point of paying $15 million for a safety per year if you're still a 1-3 football team?
Well, yeah. I mean, the Jets. I mean, the Jets are terrible. I mean, they're just the worst. I don't know. Like, you have these superstars, and you just can't seem to get any offensive talent other than maybe Sam Darnold. And I don't know. If I'm Adams, I've heard some people saying it's like, well, why would he want to leave? If they pay him, like, who cares? But I think a lot of it is, I think he just wants to be on a competitive team. Like, it has to suck to be a super competitive guy like he is, and to just be on a team that he just feels like is going nowhere. I think it's actually less about the money and more about just wanting to leave the Jets. And he even said, listen, if you trade me, I'm okay if not getting paid right away. Like, he even said that. I think it's less about him wanting a contract and more about him just wanting to leave.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, with his rookie year, he was the one because that was like a huge concussion time. The topic was heavy, and he was the one that said that I would die playing on this field. It seems like he's just a super competitive guy, and I think that does matter to him being on one of the best teams. Obviously it's got to be the best situation for the Jets too, because they want to make sure they're in the best position going forward. So yeah, I think any one of those competitive teams. I don't really see how the Chiefs make it work. I feel like that's kind of a long shot, but yeah, I do think that one of those teams, the Ravens, Seahawks, or those NFC East teams, make a lot of sense for him.
What about like a Chris Jones for Jamal Adams type thing?
That'd be so. That would never happen. That's like an NBA kind of trade that never happened in the NFL.
I know.
But so essentially, they would have to trade Chris Jones and then trade for Jamal Adams, essentially, because they're not going to come up with an extension for Chris Jones. They would have to be like, okay, that ship sailed. We'll trade him for and get a replacement level tackle, and then bring in Adams at safety. That'd be so weird.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be fun though.